Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good
Great.
morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll begin at 9:30 when everybody's here. Still waiting on a couple of board members. Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thank you, Maurice. I was really doing a sound check. Sometimes I have to
Yeah,
sign
at first I couldn't hear you.
in twice. That's right. So I'm good and ready when you are.
Okay, just waiting on Kelly, and I don't know if Marlene's going to be here today. Liz would know. And Director Collier, too.
Stand. There we are.
Liz, will Marlene be joining us today? Oh, there she is.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, Liz, we get started.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Liz Kukla. I'm the Secretary of the Board of Zoning Appeals. And I'm going to read the preamble for you this morning, November 15th, 2021. In compliance with notification requirements of the city's open meeting law in section 101.021 of the codified ordinances of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the city planning department conducts its meetings according to Robert's Rules of Orders. Actions during the meeting will be taken by voice vote. Abstentions from any vote due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the taking of any vote. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting have the opportunity to be heard, we ask that you use the raise hand feature for asking a question or making a comment. The raise hand feature can be found in the participants panel on the desktop and mobile version and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to select unmute and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking on the raise hand icon again and mute your microphone. We will also be utilizing the chat feature to communicate with participants. The chat feature can be activated by clicking the chat button located on the bottom of the WebEx screen. Please note that call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activity is being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube for public view. We've also provided a link to the meeting for those who wish to speak on a particular case via our website and email. All requests to speak on a particular matter have been considered. We've also received emails from those who have provided written comment on a particular matter. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any postponements or anything today?
No, ma'am, I don't believe so. Would you like me to call the roll?
Please do. Thank you.
Ms. Barnes?
Barnes is present.
Ms. Faith?
Present.
Ms. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Britt?
Here.
Madam Chair, we have a quorum.
Wonderful. As we said, there's no postponements or withdrawals. So
That's right.
do we have any council people signed up today?
No, Madam Chair, but we do have Director Collier. He's here for the Sherwin-Williams case. If we could take his first.
Actually, I do see Councilman Hairston just logged in.
Okay, we'll go ahead and start with the Sherwin-Williams. Ms. Faith, go ahead and read that case in, please.
Sorry, I was having a headphone issue. Okay. These are actually two separate cases, but sort of bundled together. So we'll start with 21-170 first. That's at 1400 West 3rd Street. And the Sherwin-Williams company owner proposes to erect there's my video. The Sherwin-Williams company proposes to erect a 4-story parking structure and surface parking lot in a limited retail business district with an urban core overlay district and a 9 height district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4, and number 4 states that approval of the City Planning Commission and the Landmarks Commission is required. Would you like me to read both cases now, Madam Chair, or do
Yes,
one at
please.
a time? Okay. Second case, that's calendar number 21-171 at 1450 West 3rd Street. The Sherwin-Williams company owner proposes to erect a 36-story office building and surface parking lot in a limited retail business district and an urban core overlay district and a 9 height district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinance as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 3. And number 3 is also that approval of city planning and the Landmarks Commission is required. Those are the cases. Madam Chair, to Ms. Brown.
Okay, I am swearing in all who are present for these 2 cases. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? And please raise your hand, state I do, provide your name and your address.
I do. My name is Tim Muckley, and I am the director of corporate real estate for the Sherwin-Williams Company. My address is 101 Prospect Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio.
I do. This is Julie Young with Sherwin-Williams. The address is 101 West Prospect Avenue.
I also
Anyone
do.
else?
Yep, I also do. My name is Matthew Heisey. I'm at 3142 Prospect Avenue with Vocon.
I do. My husband and I, Tanika and Jermaine Glass, owners of Glass Academy, 18403 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44122.
You know, ma'am, your case will come later.
I do. Donald Pettit. I'm the secretary of the Landmarks Commission, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Do Freddie Collier, director of the Cleveland City Planning Commission. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning. Anyone
I
else
do.
for the Sherwin-Williams case?
Yes, ma'am, I do. My name is John Zegan with Osborne Engineering at 1100 Superior Avenue.
Thank you. Madam Chair?
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The property was originally zoned semi-industry in 1929. In 1988, it was changed to limited retail business. In the history of this property that we found in the Landmarks office, the project or the building was erected in 1880, and it was a 1-story brick building. In 1927, there was an addition, and the building was listed as the Greyhound office and then later the Ohio Bureau of Unemployment Services. There's 1 variance on file in calendar 01-189. A variance was granted to demolish a building and establish a surface parking lot at this address. And then in the more recent history, we didn't find anything that was of relevance. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Okay, do you have history for 171 address as well? Is this all together?
It's all together.
Okay, great. All right, we'll move on to the legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the urban core overlay maximum setback, garage screening, and principal frontage requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. So who will be the spokesperson for this case?
I will, Madam Chair, Chairperson.
And you are?
Tim Muckley.
Okay, Tim. Okay, go ahead and get started, Tim.
All right. Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to start by probably breaking these into, just to make it easier, break them into what I'm going to call Appeal 1A and Appeal 1B. And Appeal 1A is a setback from the primary frontage street. The current zoning requirement is 3 foot, a 3-foot maximum setback to the primary frontage street. We're requesting a setback of 4.7 feet, 4 feet 7 inches. Sorry, the requested variance is only 1 foot 7 inches. So the requested variance is not large. The primary street setback to West 3rd Street cannot comply with the maximum setback requirement due to physical hardship. The building foundation extends beyond the footprint of the proposed building. If the proposed plan met the zoning requirement, then the building foundation would encroach into the public right-of-way And as a result, the site is physically constrained from meeting the zoning regulations. And I would ask if we could advance to 2 more slides. And maybe 1 more. And I'd ask that John Zegan can speak to the technical issues with the foundations.
Thanks, Tim. So what we see in this exhibit at the bottom of the page is the underground level of the parking garage and the footer foundation for that garage. The dark dashed line or double dashed line down the middle of the page is the right-of-way line. And so you can see, in order to construct our footer, we have to put an earth retention system immediately against that right-of-way line. If we were to pull the building, the 4 foot 7 inches closer to put it on right on the property line, then that entire foundation system would move to the right into the public right-of-way. And West 3rd Street underground is extremely busy in terms of buried utilities, including gas mains, steam mains, water mains, and sewer mains. So the physical hardship represented here is that we would have to excavate and put this foundation very close to those existing utilities and potentially put the public in danger because the public utilities would be at risk for damage during construction.
Great, thank you, John.
Thank you. We'll give it back to Tim.
Yep, and as John mentioned, the West 3rd Street right-of-way is filled with extensive public utility infrastructure, including buried utility mains. Those are very close to the property line and need to be protected. The proposed site plan includes continuous sidewalks. If you would please advance another slide. Actually, the next one probably shows it better. So the proposed site plan includes continuous sidewalks and pedestrian space from the back of curb at West 3rd Street to the front of the building. The building also covers the entire block of West 3rd, and it's for these reasons the proposed site plan will appear to the public to comply with the zoning requirement. The proposed design does not alter the essential character which is desired for the urban core overlay district, which is to foster the development of dense, vibrant, mixed-use neighborhoods that encourage a quality pedestrian experience. The urban core achieves this goal by setting forth requirements for consistent streetwalks, pedestrian-oriented building features. No adjacent properties will suffer detriment because of the proposed variance. The requested variance will not interfere with delivery of governmental services. The encroachment into the right-of-way is as an alternative measure to resolve the predicament, but as John explained, there's a lot of physical utilities that are within that right-of-way that could be damaged or cause additional problems. The proposed plan observes the spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement because it creates a consistent street wall as near to the right-of-way line as feasible given the physical constraints. So in summary, due to the geotechnical composition of the soils, which requires spread footers that extend beyond the garage footprint, and the extensive public utility infrastructure that is located within the existing road right-of-way along West 3rd, it would create a practical difficulty and unnecessary hardship to comply with the existing 3-foot maximum setback. If our variance was to be refused, it would require a garage design to accommodate a foundation system that could fit within the 3-foot maximum setback. Such limitation would be significant cost and design implications and deprive Sherwin of a substantial property right. And lastly, as you can see from the site plan, there will be continuous sidewalks and pedestrian space from West 3rd to the front of the garage. The 1 foot 7 inch setback variance will not be noticeable to the typical pedestrian and will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the urban core overlay district, which is to foster the development of dense, vibrant, mixed-use neighborhoods and encourage a quality pedestrian experience. So that's with regards to the setback off of West Third. There is a setback requirement along the secondary frontage streets, which is along West Sixth and St. Clair. The proposed secondary frontage street setback from West Sixth Street is 119 feet 9 inches in length. The zoning requirement is 3 foot. The requested variance is 116 feet and 9 inches. The proposed secondary frontage street setback from St. Clair Avenue is 83 feet 3 inches in length. The zoning requirement is 3 foot. The requested variance is 80 feet 3 inches. The proposed site plan proposes the development of the West Third Street frontage and reserves the West Sixth Street frontage and the St. Clair Avenue frontage for future development. If you would be able to go back one slide. You can see that the overall plan for this block is to have, future development both along the West Sixth Street side and the St. Clair side, which, would be up at that requested, streetscape. The West Sixth Street and St. Clair Avenue are not proposed as street frontage for the garage. In the future, there will be buildings along West Sixth Street and St. Clair Avenue to create consistent street wall and include pedestrian-oriented building features according to the guidelines of the Urban Core Overlay District. The existing character of the West Sixth Street and St. Clair Avenue frontage is at grade parking, and it would remain as at grade parking. This proposed site plan does not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. No adjacent properties will suffer detriment because of the proposed variance. The proposed variance will not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The proposed variance observes the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement. The future development of West Sixth Street and St. Clair Avenue frontage is intended to honor the character of the neighborhood. Under the current interpretation of the zoning code, where West Third Street is a primary frontage street and where St. Clair Avenue and West Sixth are secondary streets, it would require the initial building development to stretch the entire city block from West Third to St. Clair to West Sixth down to the vacated portion of Frankfurt Avenue. Due to the fact that we own an entire city block and the zoning code requires a maximum setback of 3 foot on West Third, St. Clair, and West Sixth, it would require the initial building development to be spread over the entire 3.2 acres, which would cause a physical difficulty and unnecessary hardship. If the variance were denied, Sherwin would be required to spread our garage over the entire city block and eliminate our ability to reserve land for future development, which would deny Sherwin of a substantial property right. The intent and purpose of the maximum setback in the Urban Core Overlay District was to create a vibrant streetscape and quality pedestrian experience. The intent was not to require owners to unnecessarily spread out their development and utilize all the developable land. We are creating those quality pedestrian experiences along West Third Street. Those same quality pedestrian experiences will be created along St. Clair and West Sixth Street when those areas are developed in the future. So that's all that I have for appeal number 1. Should I move on to the appeal number 2?
Yes, just go through all three. All of them.
Okay. So the current requirement for the lot is screening of the surface parking by a liner building or facade along the principal and secondary streets. The proposed site plan has a liner along West Third Street. The proposed site plan intends to reserve the West Sixth Street and St. Clair Avenue frontages for future development. As I've previously shown you, the West Sixth and St. Clair Avenue are not proposed as street frontage for the garage. In the future, there'll be buildings along West Sixth Street and St. Clair Avenue to create consistent street wall and include pedestrian-oriented buildings. The existing use is at-grade parking. Intent of the site plan is to continue the existing use until future phases of development are developed. The site plan proposes improvements to the existing at-grade parking lot in response to the requests made by the neighborhood design review committees, the Downtown Flats District, and the Historic Warehouse District design review committees. The landscape and screening proposed on the site plan are enhanced above the zoning requirements for the landscaping frontage strips to satisfy design review recommendations. The proposed site plan upgrades, improves the existing conditions and existing usage through new paving, lighting, signage, and enhanced planting. The proposed site plan does not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. No adjacent properties will suffer detriment because of the proposed variance. The proposed variance will not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. And the proposed variance observes the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement. The future development of West 6th Street and St. Clair Avenue frontage is intended to honor the character of the neighborhood. Under the requirement of the zoning code, Sherwin would be required to develop the entire 3.2 acres as part of the initial development in order to screen any surface parking. This would require Sherwin to build space that it does not need today in order to satisfy the zoning requirements and forego the opportunity to develop a residential or mixed-use building there in the future, which creates a practical difficulty and unnecessary hardship. If the variance were to be denied, Sherwin would be required to build a liner building along St. Clair and West 6th Street, which it does not need and would prevent the parcel from being developed in the future, thus depriving Sherwin of his substantial property right. When this area is developed in the future, the surface parking will either be eliminated or be screened with residential or mixed-use development along West 6th and St. Clair. Therefore, this variance is not contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And then lastly, on appeal number 3, it specifies that, the code specifies that when there is access to a secondary street or alley that abuts the property, that there would not be access to the principal street along the principal street frontage. So on this would mean that as you that basically no access would be along West 3rd Street as long as these parcels had access to West 6th and St. Clair or Superior Avenue. The access from the parking structure on West 3rd Street is designed as an exit only, which is safer than a two-way access. The proposed site plan shows an access on West 3rd Street where Frankfurt Avenue was vacated. However, the access on West 3rd Street is proposed to be restricted with a physical barrier or gate. The proposed site plan closes the vacated portion of Frankfurt Avenue at the intersection of West 3rd Street and limits traffic to the occasional semi-truck entering West 3rd Street. All other delivery traffic exits west to West 6th Street. Per the City of Cleveland zoning code and the urban overlay district, the intent is to minimize conflicts between vehicle and pedestrians and screening of off-street parking and service areas. The proposed site plan reduces the number of pedestrian auto traffic crossing points. As a result, the proposed site plan observes the spirit and intent behind the urban core overlay. And I think we have a slide that shows the existing number of curb cuts. Actually, I think we're on to the other. I think go back maybe a couple slides. Couple more. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah,
if it's on
those
here.
are all the
There's-
slides I have for this part of the presentation.
Yeah, John Z, can you speak to the number of existing curb cuts and how many will be left afterwards?
Absolutely. I'm going to pull that slide, at least on my side, so that I can reference it. Just one moment. So in the existing condition, as Tim mentioned, there were more curb cuts, especially on West 3rd, than there will be in our proposed plan. In the existing condition, in the block that our parking garage is on between St. Clair and Frankfurt Avenue, there were 2 curb cuts. In our proposed plan, there's just 1 curb cut on that block. In the existing condition on the block between Frankfurt and Superior, there was, of course, the public street, which is Frankfurt Avenue, which is now vacated and, as Tim mentioned, blocked off except for the occasional delivery truck that will exit the site at that location. And there were also 2 existing curb cuts on that block and the new plan has 0 curb cuts on that block. And just to speak to the development as a whole, because there is the issue of the at-grade parking at the rear or the west side of the property. In the existing condition, there were a total of 5 curb cuts there, including Frankfurt Avenue. In the proposed condition, there'll be just 3 curb cuts there. It's also worth mentioning on St. Clair, there's 1 curb cut in the existing condition, and there will be the same curb cut in the proposed condition. On Superior Avenue, there was 1 curb cut historically, which will be eliminated in the proposed condition. I'll send it back to Tim then.
Thank you, John. The proposed garage exit on the West 3rd Street is less impactful to the road network than an exit on the West 6th Street because West 3rd Street is classified as a collector and West 6th Street is classified as a local road. Existing traffic data indicates that West 6th Street is currently operated at an unacceptable level of service, but West 3rd Street currently operates at an acceptable level of service. The plan to route PM peak hour traffic leaving the parking garage to West 3rd Street creates no new traffic impact onto West 6th Street. The applicant does not propose to take full and ordinary vehicle access from the principal street frontage on West 3rd Street. The proposed drive is an exit drive for delivery vehicles. In this sense, the variance is not large or substantial. Supplies, including food and office essentials, are proposed to be delivered to the site daily. The driveway on West 3rd Street is only proposed for use of large semi-truck and trailer delivery vehicles exiting the site. The proposed variance is required to allow the deliveries to arrive from the public right-of-ways surrounding the property. No adjoining properties will suffer any detriment because of the variance. The variance will not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. Supplies, including food and office essentials, are proposed to be delivered to the site daily. The driveway on West 3rd Street is only proposed for use of large semi-truck and trailer delivery vehicles exiting the site. The site is surrounded 3 sides by roadways classified as either arterial or major collectors. Superior Avenue West is an arterial roadway. St. Clair and West 3rd Streets are major collectors. West 6th Street is classified as a local road. These roads are planned and designed to carry more traffic than our local roads. I don't think that this section of the code contemplates a situation where an owner has ownership of 2 full city blocks and has vacated a street that separates those 2 city blocks. To deny Sherwin access to West 3rd Street for 2 contiguous city blocks creates a physical difficulty or practical difficulty and unnecessary hardship. If this variance were to be denied, Sherwin would not be permitted to access West 3rd Street for a span of almost 500 feet, which would deprive Sherwin of a substantial property right. For the purpose and intent of the provisions of the Urban Core Overlay District is to minimize conflicts between vehicles and pedestrians and screening of off-street parking and service areas. We've eliminated the number of vehicular access points to just 1 point along that 500-foot stretch of West 3rd Street, and this is not contrary to the purpose and intent of the overlay district. And then with regards to appeal number 4, we're willing to accept the condition of that we have to comply with the City Planning and Landmarks Commission.
Thank you. Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else from the project team want to speak?
I'm sorry, Madam Chairman. One other thing I just did want to bring up on this. We are getting ready to submit tomorrow for to the Joint Design Review and Planning Commission. We have, and I was hoping that apparently this slide did not get put in here, but we are currently looking at a revision to this parking garage, which would shrink it by what they call 1 bay, from which would actually make it smaller and make it go up 1 level. And so it would pull it further away from St. Clair to, it would make that distance between there 120 feet. That has not been approved by the Planning Commission yet or the design review. So we did not want to specifically ask for that variance today. But if that does get approved, we would come back before this board for a modification of that variance.
Okay, thank you. So my earlier question, anyone else on the project team want to speak? No? Okay. Ms. Kukla, you had your hand up?
Yes, Madam Chair, I just want to, for the record, state that, and I apologize for not stating it in the history, but the Urban Form Overlay District was established in 2016. Just for the record. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Okay, if no one else from the project team wants to speak, I will call on Mr. Pettit.
Thank you, Madam Chair, board members. I just want to summarize our review of this project to date. Due to the importance of the project and the overlapping jurisdictions here, this was reviewed by a joint committee of the Downtown Flats Design Review Committee and the Historic Warehouse District Design Review Committee, as well as the Joint Commission of the City Planning Commission and the Cleveland Landmarks Commission. This has been reviewed twice to date. On July 20th, we approved the project conceptually. On September 14th, it was reviewed and approved for schematic design. The Joint Commission approved the tower and the pavilion as presented, and we approved the north block and the garage, including the recommendations of the design review committees. Those conditions included studying the increase by 1 foot of the height of the first floor of the garage building, studying the potential of the garage to receive additional floors in the future, considering a temporary scrim to be approved, which can be changed when permanent screening is provided on the north and west face of the garage facade, and to continue studying development of the hardscape and pedestrian experience along vacated Frankfurt Avenue. So in summary, the Joint Commission supports the project. We have no objection to the variances being sought today. And we have a meeting scheduled for November 30th to give the project final approval. So we support this with the understanding that this still has to come back for final review by the Joint Commission of the Planning Commission and Landmarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pettit. Okay, I'll call on Director Collier.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Pettit, for saying everything that I've had planned to say. Very well spoken. Thank you so much. But I do want to reinforce the fact that we have been working intimately with Sherwin-Williams. This is a three-pronged approach that actually brings together the body of the various committees to review this project. Mr. Muckley has laid out the specifics of the hardships associated with this. But what I want to highlight today is the spirit and intent of Sherwin-Williams to move toward meeting what our objectives are from a planning standpoint. Maurice, is it okay if I share my screen? Can you allow me to share my screen momentarily?
Yeah, 1 second, Fred.
Sure.
Okay, try it now. You should be able to share your screen.
Okay.
Is it working?
It is not. Hang on, let me try this. Give me 1 second.
Hold on, let me make you co-host. Maybe then you can share.
It's not working out well, so I'm going to go ahead and just explain it just to save time. With respect to the urban overlay, one of the key objectives that we wanted to achieve was to build on parking lots downtown. This is key with respect to creating infill development. This particular block, as many of you know, is a sea of parking. And one of the reasons that we wanted to see this develop was to create that infill and create a mixed-use scenario in this district. When it was announced that Sherwin-Williams was looking for a new home and this block was selected, we saw that as a key opportunity. The desire of Sherwin-Williams to want to build vertical was something that as a city we needed to see. And the way in which the site is developed represents the first step in the maturation of fulfilling that vision of building out these parking lots. A couple of the variances that you have heard today with respect to the setbacks, although on its face, it sounds like it's degrading what we intend, it's actually moving us into the right direction. Rather than having mid-rise structures up here, which was originally envisioned, Sherwin-Williams is building a vertical tower, which many of you know from who are from Cleveland, who see Cleveland, that our skyline is in desperate need of another tower. So we embrace the notion of a tower versus mid-rise development. What that did, however, is leave areas of the parking lot that exist here uncovered. We saw it working with Sherwin-Williams as an opportunity for future development, which Sherwin-Williams intends to pursue. So we believe that the tower, the garage, and these initial investments will lead to further investment activity on those outlots that are reserved for future opportunity. The other component that I do want to highlight is the fact that with respect to the curb cuts and the minimal curb cuts that are being introduced here, we saw that also as a plus, also meeting the spirit of a more walkable environment in downtown. We've worked together to address particularly that 3rd Street facade, where there is ground floor commercial space that has been added. And if you were to see an elevation of the actual garage facade on West 3rd, it actually mimics the tower element. So it doesn't feel like a garage as you're traversing down West 3rd Street. With respect to St. Clair Avenue, as well as West 6th Street, those are the sites that will be built out for future development opportunity. So you will have frontage, which is the intent of the urban core overlay, on St. Clair, West 3rd, as well as West 6th. The last piece of this that we believe is really important is the Superior Avenue side as well. The parking lot that you see there at West 6th and Superior Avenue is also opportunity for the company to expand. And as you know, with respect to downtown being a more dense environment, having the ability to expand in some cases is limited unless you're going vertical. But here, this was a site that offered the opportunity for Sherwin-Williams to meet its long-term goals, help us advance toward our civic goals, and also bring 3,000 employees to the heart of the downtown core. So the administration supports this proposal. This has received all of the schematic approvals that have been conveyed by Mr. Pettit, and we're looking forward to the November 30th meeting to review this for final overall approval. Thank you. My illustrations would have been more compelling, but you had to settle for me talking, so forgive me. Thank you.
I think you did a good job, Director Collier. We didn't need illustrations, so thank you. All right, board. We see this is an important project for the city and the region, and we had Director Collier gracing us with his presence this morning. So that just kind of shows the level of importance here. So I will open it up to you if you have any questions or comments, or if you want to move with a motion.
I have a question, Madam Chair.
Sure, go ahead, Member Brown.
And actually, I was thinking of this question before Director Collier made his presentation, but he also provoked the question. So I appreciate creating the opportunities for future mixed-use development in certain key parts of the site, and especially along West 6th Street. And I am interested in timing for the proposed future development, or if there's any expectation of timing, if not a hard project date. You're muted, Director.
You're muted, Director.
Sorry about that. I'll turn this over to Tim, but I'll give you some insight with respect to some of the things that has been discussed. There has been quite a bit of discussion about the prospect of office housing and some mixed use, particularly on those sites along St. Clair and West 6. Even to the point of the prospect of RFPing, opportunities there. We know that when you have 3,000 bodies added to a footprint like this in the warehouse district where you already have significant activity going on, that we see this as a potential real opportunity for that type of development to occur. And there will be development interests that would want to build right next to this headquarters. The other thing from a planning perspective that we think is extremely relevant is that we want people to live and work in place. And as downtown continues to grow, in the last census, the downtown population grew by 40%. And this was a census that was plagued with individuals not filling out their forms and a federal administration that was not friendly to the census. Yet we still grew 40% in downtown with respect to our numbers. So the fact that you have these additional individuals that are going to be coming into and out of downtown, our goal is to capture them either living there or either their money with spending there. So we see this development as being something that's very real. Of course, I can't give you a drop dead date, but just we believe that the intent is that we will not have an issue with getting development interests to locate along the St. Clair and West 6th Street corridor.
Yes, thank you, Director Collier. I would echo what he said. I worked extensively with CBRE to make sure that as we laid this out and as we structured the garage, that there was sufficient room from West 6 to the edge of the parking garage to accommodate at least 100-foot deep bay retail, and which is a very standard, a retail depth. And then, we were kind of looking more at residential potential along St. Clair, but if we get approved on the change we made to the garage, it would increase that depth to at least 120 feet. And again, would allow more flexibility for retail, residential, hotel. I mean, and keep in mind, when Sherwin acquired this site, we knew that this was really more land than what we just needed. But, we've got 3,000 plus employees who will be coming down here every day. And so we want to see that get developed. We want to see thriving retail so that our people have a place to go have lunch or go do a little shopping after work. So I can't give a specific timeline, but, we have a lot of interest and, moving that development along just for the benefit of our own employees.
Thank you. My last question is, what's the timeline for construction? When do you expect what's being proposed to be completed?
So right now, we're still looking at taking first occupancy in November of 2024. Now, because of a tower, it will take a while for us to get everything fully built out and, fully occupied. But we anticipate that, the garage and the tower would both be open by the end of 2024.
Member Brown, does that satisfy all your questions? Okay, great, thank you. Okay, board, any other board members have questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I thank my colleague, Ms. Brown, for her questions. I have no questions myself. I'll go to a motion if there's no further discussion.
Proceed.
All right. Thank you to Director Collier for his oversight and overview of the vision of the project going forward. To Mr. Pettit for his detail of the process of approval and its thoroughness to date. And for the concise and excellent presentation by the appellant's representatives. We know that this is a project that is in the core of the historic part of the city. There have been buildings there up and coming down for centuries now. And so we know that there's extenuating circumstances with public utilities and land stabilization in that area. It's also on a parcel of land that has been needing development for quite a number of years now. So with all that taken into account, Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and approve both calendar number 21-170 and 21-171.
Thank you, Ms. Graves. Can I have a
Madam Chair,
second? Yes.
Madam Chair, yeah, I just wanted to point out that you're not granting a variance to the approval of the City Planning Commission. So that would be number 4 on the first one and number 3 on the second.
Correct. Yeah, I was just about to say that. Thank you, Maurice.
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second, Ms. Barnes.
Ms. Barnes with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, please, Ms. Cookler.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes? Ms. Vaith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendars 21-170 and 21-171 are granted. They will be ratified next week and we will send you a letter.
All right, thank you, everyone. Great presentation.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Looking forward to seeing this come to fruition.
And thank you. Well done, board.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Director
Director.
Collier.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay, we have Councilman Hairston here, so we'll move on to calendar number 21-177.
All right. All right, as a courtesy to the councilman, we will take his case next. That moves us on to calendar number 21-177 at 18403 Euclid Avenue. Remarkable Homes Realty Corporation, Tanaka Glass owner, proposes to erect approximately 600 linear feet of 6-foot-high chain link fence and 2 parking gates in a D2 general retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinance as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. With that, to you, Ms. Brown.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, state I do, provide your name and your address.
I do. Tanika Glass, 18403 Euclid Avenue, Cleveland, Ohio, 44122.
Councilman, are you still here?
And if so, you are muted.
Yes. Um,
Councilman, please use *6 to unmute yourself.
I would suggest that we proceed, and if the councilman joins us, we can always take his comments.
I agree. All right, yeah, still zero radio silence there. Okay, we can move on to this year the property then.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929.
Actually, he's available. Can we swear him in now?
Oh, yes.
Councilman, if you could raise your hand, state your name and address, we can swear you in.
All right, I don't know if you all can see me. Councilman Anthony Harrison, Ward 10, 601 Lakeside.
Okay, Madam Chair, we're ready.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's been no change in the zoning since 1929. I didn't find very many records at all for this address in our Records Administration Office. I only found that in 1941, there was a permit issued to erect a sign pole for a club. There are no variances on file. And in the more recent history, we found that in 2006 through 2018, there were food licenses issued to the property. And in 2013, there was a permit issued to establish use as a kids daycare. And then in 2021, January of this year, a license to operate a daycare was applied for. And that's all that I have that's relevant, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the fence requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, Ms. Glass, go ahead and present your case.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tanika Glass. My husband and I are the owners of this building. We bought the building last year. So we renovated the whole entire building inside and out. So what we're asking, we believe in safety, number one, for our children and educating our children and bringing something to Cleveland on a whole different level. So what we're asking for, if we can have a 6 feet gate going around the whole entire building, because we are experiencing, we have cameras, we are experiencing people walking, hanging out on our property. We're finding needles and condoms, all different things going on. So for the safety purpose of the children, when we open up the building, we would like the 6 feet to go all the way around the building.
Ms. Glass, what kind of business is this?
This is a child care center. We also have one in South Euclid as well.
Okay, child care center. And what would be your hours of operation?
6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
On what days?
Monday through Friday.
And so you would like to have a 6-foot chain link fence surrounding the property here, how you have it laid out on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Schematic, correct? Ms. Glass?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Yeah,
Yes.
so you're asking for a 6-foot chain link fence around the
Yes,
perimeter of the
ma'am.
property. Okay,
Yes.
just wanted to clear that up.
Kelly, you're cutting in and out.
Really? Or can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
now it's okay.
Okay, good.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just to note, please note that the plan that's proposed is the one on the left. The one on the right is a drawing that we were working on. Ms. Glass and I were working on. It is not the proposed plan. It's the one that is proposed is to the left with the highlighting.
Okay, great. Thank you for clearing that up. Maurice, do we have someone from city planning here?
Just me.
Okay.
So my question is, if we're using the plan on the left, is the fence along Euclid still going to be 4 foot back from the sidewalk?
Yes, because I know that's
Okay,
the clearance.
so you're replacing this existing fence, is that?
No, we're keeping the existing fence because that fence is 5 feet high. So we was gonna use that as a marking and extend the 6 feet gate to go all the way around the perimeter of the building. I do want to clarify too. I just want to make sure it was okay that we do get gating going across in the front as well because of the fact that we having people come and just just sitting around, on our property.
Well, the only thing that the existing fence that goes along Euclid is right at the sidewalk. It's not 4 feet back from the sidewalk. That's why I asked that question. So are you
Okay.
going to move that fence, or is that fence staying there?
The fence is
Because
staying there.
okay, and then you're going to have a gate that goes all the way across the green space next to the left of the driveway?
Yes.
Okay, so the plan is drawn incorrectly then, so it will not be 4 feet back from the sidewalk on Euclid Avenue.
Well, the thing of it is, now the question, can we extend that from that existing gate to go across, or if we have to bring it back 4 feet, we will. I mean, we can bring it back 4 feet.
Yeah, I'm just asking because that's what was on the plan. I'm just trying to understand what you want to do. That's all.
Yeah, that's what we want to do. Bring it back 4 feet and then just extend the gate going around.
Yeah, because it looks like you've got the driveway that's about 4 feet back where the parking spaces stop. It probably would be easier to take the gate across that area than right at the sidewalk, is what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's what we gonna do.
Okay. And plus that would mean you'd be repairing this one piece of fence that looks like the top rail is missing, which would be great.
Yes, we was gonna do that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we have absolutely no objections to this, Madam Chair. I just wanted to get clarity on what was here and what's on the plan. That's all.
Great, thank you, Maurice. Okay, I'll open up to the board.
Madam Chair, did we hear from Councilman Harrison?
No, I was gonna wait for last, but yeah, we'll hear from him now and wait on you guys.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, board. Always a pleasure to be here. You are one of my favorite group of people always to work with. But briefly,
Don't try to grease it up, Councilman. Don't try to
butter us up.
You all have been excellent. We've achieved a lot of good things with this board for our community, so we thank you for that. But briefly, because I had to go back into committee meeting, we're hearing ARPA dollar request. I agree that the fence is needed. We are working with the 5th District Police and also RTA Police to try to deal with the issues that they are having at the corner there. The biggest concern and why they need the fence is the Euclid Motel that sits just west of that location. It has been a headache for me and for the neighborhood for quite some time. And we were successful in closing down one of those motels on the opposite end of Euclid. We are working to try to deal with exactly there it is there. Deal with this site here. And we just don't want to see anything happen to the young people and the people who are working at the facility. We believe that this fence will allow them to better secure the property there at the corner. The CDC, Development Corporation, Greater Collinwood has been in connection and working with this group. They helped them with their sign, I believe, through design review, and it just makes sense that they are allowed to put this fence there. And I asked the same question Maurice did early on, was do they intend to take it to the sidewalk or right there where the green space is, and they'll start the fence there where the green space is, which will allow for that 4 feet setback that is required. So just wanted to offer my comments, and that I am in full support and the community along with the CDC, so that they can put up this fence and secure their location and make sure that our young people are safe as they are coming here for care. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Yeah, I think this case is pretty straightforward. So I'll hand it over to the board for any further questions, or I'll entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, just a quick question to our city planner. Do you have recommendations for the type of chain link fence that you would like to have used here?
I'm okay with what she has up there now. I think she's already stated she's going to reuse what's there now, so you might as well be consistent with the rest of the fencing.
Great. All right, Madam Chair, with that, I'll move to a motion. This will be conditional with the support of Councilman Hairston, and he stated support by the CDC for this. And the recommendation by Mr. Rulins, our city planner. We will accept the standard chain link fence as opposed to having to go to a black vinyl coated one. And we will ask that the fencing be moved back along the sidewalk to a distance of 4 feet, which frankly, I think is going to need to be an accommodation to put the gate in anyway. So we'll need a new updated plan just to show that change to allow for the code and the gate is being made. With that exception and that condition, I move that we go ahead and approve this. I think given the situation and the statement by the councilman, the safety of the children is paramount in this situation.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Member Barnes with the second. Call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Vaith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-177 is granted conditionally with the condition that the fence be moved 4 feet back from the property line on Euclid Avenue, and that we will receive a site plan showing those changes. And once we receive those changes, we will ratify the case and we will send the appellant a letter.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Glass. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Nice
God
job
bless
on the
you all.
renovation.
Thank
of the
you
building
so
too.
much.
Looks
It
great.
was a lot of hard
Looks
work.
really good.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Sure. You're going to be a highlight to the neighborhood. So good for you.
Yeah, we want to bring something totally that we got to educate these babies.
Absolutely. Yep.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you, Councilman.
luck
I
to
really
you.
appreciate it.
You're welcome.
All right.
All right, Ms. Faith, we can
am
go
I-
to the beginning.
All right. I'm just checking to see. We haven't had any other council people join us. So we'll loop back to calendar number 21-163. That's at 2276 West 6th Street. Ben Mandel, owner, proposes to erect a 27-foot by 41-foot 4-story frame single-family residence with a front-loaded garage and open rear deck in a B1 2-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. And with that, we'll go to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I am swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand and reply, I do. State your name and your address.
Hi there, I do. Ben Mandel, 2276 West 6th Street.
I do. Michael Horton,
812 Huron Road, Cleveland, Ohio.
I do,
I
Matthew
do.
Moss, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
I do, Donna Gregonis, 3308 Lorraine Avenue.
Madam Chair?
Okay, that's it. We'll move on to the history of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. 1963, it was rezoned to the current two-family district. In our Records Administration Office, I found that in 1909, a permit was issued to erect a two-story tenement on the property. 1911, a permit was issued to erect a two-story dwelling. And in 1962, I found a certificate of occupancy was issued stating that the authorized use of the property is 4 dwelling units. There are no variances on file for this address and nothing of note in the more recent history. That's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the garage placement, maximum gross floor area, rear yard, and side yard encroachment requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Okay, thank you. Who will be the spokesperson for this case?
Mike will go into the details.
Yeah.
of it.
Yeah, I can speak. This is Michael Horton with Horton Harper Architects. Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board.
Good morning.
The what we're proposing here on West 6th Street in Tremont neighborhood is a single-family residence. The house sits on a one-way alley in between Herschel Court and Jefferson Avenue. The sort of the intent of the project was to, given its shallow footprint and narrow width, the fact that we're on a one-way alley, was to try to have a single-family residence. Thank you. That can accommodate off-street parking spaces, given that we are on the alley, and at the same time still have first floor usable space to allow the homeowners, the future homeowners, to have outdoor space on the first floor. So how we achieved this was by kind of creating a bit of a staggered floor plan, or almost like a split level. So we have a 2-car tandem garage that you could see the lower portion of the site. And then the garage door is set back to even allow room for 1 additional parking space. That also helps to bring the front porch to the foreground. Sort of, so it's not solely dominated by a side-by-side 2-car garage. We also have a raised finished floor around the upper area, which allows the home to have an open porch to be more, I guess, pedestrian friendly. And by staggering those floor plans, we create kind of a 2.5-story house. In order to do this, we got the 3-foot side yard setbacks. And at the rear yard, we got a 19-foot, 3-inch setback. Still allows for some room for some outdoor space. And we've got a mapped setback along the front yard at 6 feet, and we're set back 7 feet. We could go a foot closer, but we did want to leave a little bit of room in case a car wanted to park on that driveway if need be. I think that the site plan gives you a pretty good idea, but let's go to the next. We can go to the next few slides to get a sense of what that looks like. The floor plans are a bit, complicated to describe, but if we go to the next image, you can get a sense of what that does here. So we've got a kind of a tapered roof line to keep the building feeling thin and more in proportion with some of the existing homes on the street. The raised porch, we have a nice outdoor area that is engaged with the street. We have a planter there to provide a buffer between the very narrow sidewalk on West 6th Street. There was some concerns from HDRS about the sight lines, for a car backing out onto the alley if that planter was maybe a little bit too high. So we are correct. So we are going to lower that to maintain adequate sight lines for anybody backing out, to make sure anyone on their bike or walking on the sidewalk on the street is in view when backing out. So we are going to bring that down. We can go to the next few slides. It's a similar view. And then there's another view of the rear. There's a good view. So you can see this is what we're proposing for the rear yard. To the left, you can see a garage that is pretty close to the property line. After taking a closer look at the survey, it's about 20 inches. So adding a fence there may preclude that homeowner from future maintenance of that garage. We're going to reach out to them directly to discuss that, to see if that's something that they would prefer not to have there. If that's the case, then we would just have a wall of landscaping along that northern edge of the property line, so everyone can still have access to both buildings. I think really that's kind of the overall intent of the project. We get another sense of some of the exterior elevations here. There's a rooftop access toward the middle, which will be, you won't really see it from the street. That was the intent, so that the house didn't feel so tall. And I think that's all we have. We open to any questions or any comments from Matt Moss or Donna.
Thank you. I will call on Donna Vergonis.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. Donna Gregonis, Neighborhood Development Director for Tremont West Development Corporation and Ohio City Inc. So as Mr. Horton did say, or did describe the rear fence going up to the neighbor's, along the neighbor's garage. There was some conversation at Economic Development Committee regarding potentially doing landscaping instead of fence and at the block club. But both did approve, both did have favorable things to say about the project, and they supported the variances from Economic Development Committee because it is mid-block on an alley. So they were in favor of them ultimately, but yeah, that was the only major recommendation that they wanted them to look at, but it was not, their vote was not contingent on that. So just wanted to make that clear. And then they did go to both Block Club and Economic Development Committee. So we applaud them for doing that proactively. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna. And yeah, and for the record, the fence is not on the list of variances today. So we don't need to address that right now. Okay, moving on, Matt Moss.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Matt Moss with the City Planning Commission. As Michael stated, this project was reviewed and approved with the condition to lower or adjust that front planter for sight lines of the car driver backing out. But given the context of the street, the presence of active use space on the house, we're supportive of the variances as requested.
Thank you. Anyone else from the project team wants to add anything before I go to the board? Okay, board, questions, comments, motions?
Madam Chair, I think we've got approval from the CDC and from City Planning. Excellent presentation by Mr. Horton today. We can see that the garage door, though front facing, is fully glazed. There have been accommodations made for that planter. It is a one-way alley, so I think that impacts the decisions on modifications here. With all that said, I think we go ahead and approve this. We know how small the lots are in that area, so I think well done to the design team. And I move we approve.
Thank you. Thank you. We have a motion. Can I have a second?
I second, Member Brown.
All right, Ms. Brown with the second. Go ahead, call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
And Madam Chair, this is with the understanding that number 5 is not being granted today regarding the approval from Cleveland.
Boy, those keep slipping in there, don't they?
Yep.
Yes, Madam Chair, as you know, that
Yep.
these are applied for without the approval of City Planning Commission.
Yes, we know. Yeah, it's just
Right.
they just keep flipping past our motions today, is all I'm saying. Okay.
All right, Ms. Barnes. Ms. Barnes,
Yes.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Faith,
Yes.
Ms. Britt.
Yes.
Calendar 21-163 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Awesome. Thank you,
All right,
guys.
thanks, everyone. Good luck.
Thank
Very
you.
nice house.
Thank you very much.
you.
Have fun.
Nice job.
All right, we can move on to 169.
Sorry, I'm having the sniffles this morning. Okay. All right. Moving on. Calendar number 21-169 at 2097 West 26th Street. Plumstone CT Timothy Del Papa, owner, proposed to erect a 1-story frame, 8-foot by 12-foot wooden shed on a vacant lot in a C1 local business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. And with that, we will go to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand and state I do. Provide your name and your address.
My name is Timothy Del Papa. I live at number 2512 Chatham Avenue, and I do affirm that the testimony I am about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Thank you.
Anyone
I do,
else?
Matthew Moss, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The property was originally zoned general retail in 1929. In 2011, it was changed to local retail business. In the records room, we found that in 1980, a permit was issued to demolish a 2-family dwelling on site. There are no variances for this address and nothing of note in the more recent history.
Thank you. Legal standard.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting an area variance from the accessory building placement requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Del Papa, present your case.
Good morning, everyone. I have lived at 2512 Chatham Avenue for 27 years. I've been on the street for 33. I own 5 houses in that immediate area. I am a landlord. I do maintain all of the properties by myself. I am needing desperately a new shed to store all of my garden equipment, garden tools. The current shed was constructed shortly after I purchased that lot in 1994. It is now, it has not aged well. It desperately again needs to be replaced. I am proposing that the current shed be demolished and then rebuilt on that same site with a shed that is of the same style and dimensions. It is 8 feet by 12 feet. And I, again, am asking for a variance. So in that this is technically a vacant lot, I do ask that I am able to put that shed there. I do own the 3 parcels abutting the lot, one of which is my home, 2512 Chatham Avenue, also 2101 West 26th Street, and 2089, West 26th Street. And the lot is abutted on the east by an alley, West 25th Place, and on the west by West 26th Street. So I, as you can hopefully notice by the pictures, I do humbly pride myself on taking very good care of the properties, and the shed is again essential to the upkeep, maintenance of the property. So again, I am asking to be granted a variance to demolish the existing shed and to construct one virtually identical. So thank you.
Thank you. You answered my question. I was going to say, is it going to go on the exact footprint of your old one? So you have answered that. Thank you. We'll go to Matt Moss.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This is Matt Moss with the Cleveland City Planning Commission. I spoke to Mr. Del Papa a few weeks ago when he asked about the proper process for this. Even though the zoning code requires him to either have a primary use that isn't this or do consolidated as lots, he informed me that and after we discussed it, that the cost of having these surveyed and consolidated just so he could replace this shed would be roughly similar to the cost of the shed itself. So that's why he's here asking for a variance. I think in any other case, as a primary use in this district, we wouldn't be supportive of it. But because Mr. Del Papa owns all the surrounding property and this is a residential use that he wishes to just maintain in its current condition, we support the variance.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, board. Any questions or comments, or I'll entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, Mr. Del Papa looks like a man after my own heart, an avid gardener, and someone who really likes to use landscape stone and keep up a good yard. So I appreciate that personally.
Thank you for your kind words.
And I see you're joining us from your kitchen, so I'm curious
I'm
about that.
at work. I'm at work,
Okay.
actually.
So I digress a little bit, but given the testimony from Mr. Del Papa and Mr. Moss from City Planning, and the description that the new shed is going to go on the existing footprint of the old shed and be essentially identical. And I can appreciate the fact that you probably need that for all your equipment. I would go ahead and say that let's approve this variance for his new shed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member
Second.
Brown, I second.
Member Brown, second. Call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Vaith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-169 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Good luck, Mr. Del Papa.
I appreciate your words, and thank you for your time. Thank you.
Yes. We'll
Thank
see
you.
you in the spring when everything's in bloom. Okay.
I will look forward to that. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, Madam Chair, moving along to calendar number 21-172. This is at 5606 Tillman Avenue. Mediterra Investments owner proposes to construct a new 2-story single-family house with an attached garage on a 3,693 square foot lot in a B1 2-family residential district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 4, Number 4 being that city planning approval is required prior to the issuance of a building permit. With that, we will go to Ms. Brown for the oath.
I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand, state I do, provide your name and your address.
I do. My name is Mike Augustidis. Address is 12550 Lake Avenue, Lakewood, Ohio.
I do. Adam Davenport, City Planning, 601 Lakeside Avenue.
Madam Chair?
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Madam Chair, can we first confirm that the appellant is present today?
That would be Biagio Gallo.
Yes.
Mr. Gallo, do you plan on speaking?
On behalf of my Michael Agostidis, my architect, will be speaking on my behalf.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. The property was originally zoned general retail business in 1929. In 1961, it was changed to two-family residential. We found that in the Records Administration Office that the original building on this site was a two-story dwelling and it was erected in 1893. And then in February of this year, a permit was issued to demolish the two-story single or two-family dwelling on this site. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the maximum gross floor area, distance, and garage setback requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And I would just like to remind the board that they do not have the authority to grant number 4 city planning commission approval required. So you'll just be considering the first 3 variances.
Thank you. So who's the spokesperson for the case today?
I'm sorry, you broke up.
Who's the spokesperson for the case? Is that you, Mike?
That would be me. I'm sorry, Madam Chair, you're breaking up.
Yeah, I'm having that problem today. So go ahead, proceed.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, Madam Chair, and thank you to the committee members. We appreciate the time to present our case this morning. A couple things I wanted to clear up before we start. We have made revisions to the plan and submitted them to the Planning Commission that would address item number 1, the floor area. We have revised the design of the home to meet that criteria. So the home now is within the limits of the square footage requirements for lot area coverage. Item number 2 was a little bit of an issue from our perspective. When we took that dimension, we took that off of a Google Earth plan and measured it from that. We currently meet the side yard setback requirement, and we will confirm that there will be a minimum of 6 feet between the existing homes. So the only thing that we are really looking for today for relief is the attached garage facing Tillman Avenue. So with that, I'd like to just give a little bit of a history on the project. Mr. Gallo had retained me to do a design for the actual renovation of the existing home. Initially, there was no intent to demolish the home. We started working on the house and found a number of structural deficiencies that required us to bring a structural engineer in to review the condition of the home. Upon the recommendation of the structural engineer, we decided to demolish the home. The appropriate applications were granted and the house was demoed so that we can start with a new project. The image that you see right now is a top right, the Google Street View. Right in the middle was the existing home. We wanted to give you an indication of what the configuration of the house was so that you can see how we try to reference that scale and that style of architecture and interpret that into a more modern solution. The bottom center image is of the site as it currently exists with the house removed. And then we have a more oblique angle of the site at the bottom right as well. Next slide, please. This is the site plan that gives us a much better understanding of how the house will be configured on the site. As we mentioned earlier, the requirement right now, or our request is for relief of the garage configuration. Zoning code requires the garage to be in the back of the site. Current site width is 28 feet 6 inches, and with a 6 foot setback, that really only allows a yield of approximately 12.5 feet for the width of the house. That would be the interior dimension. We also take into consideration 6 inches for the sidewalls. That really only yields a 12.5 foot inside dimension for the house, which is unusually narrow and would be very difficult for my client to develop as a viable single-family home in this district. We also are illustrating the side yard setbacks here. We do have a 20-foot setback at the front that can be seen on the lower right. We have more than enough distance in the back for the rear yard setback. We're well within that distance as well. Next slide, please. These are the floor plans for the home. There will be a partial basement, which can be seen on the left. The middle image is of the first floor plan, and the intent is to have a deep single-car garage on the right with an entry experience on the left. That provided us an opportunity to provide a porch expression in the front of the house, which is consistent with the rest of the neighborhood. This would be, the first floor plan would accommodate, as I said, the entry, the garage, a living room, dining room, kitchen configuration with a small patio in the back. The second floor would provide for 3 bedrooms. We are anticipating or proposing that the master bedroom be configured to the back of the home where there would be less street noise with a patio that would, or with doors that would open on to a patio. There would be no roof deck. So we are keeping, and we did that intentionally so that we can maintain the scale of the home consistent with the rest of the neighborhood. Next slide, please. These images are a little darker than what we had hoped, but the intent is to use a charcoal gray lap siding for the majority of the building. We intend on using a lighter gray at the front of the house to help articulate the porch experience, and we would like to propose a bright yellow color for the main entry to really help identify front door for the house. We are proposing that we use the same color on the back of the house that would obviously not be visible from the street. The siding for the majority of the field is shown as siding number 1. Siding number 2 would be a vertical grade.
Mike, we don't need to go through all the building materials because
Okay.
it's not design review. So we just want to focus in on the zoning variances you need.
Okay, thank you.
No problem.
This slide indicates how the house would look from the street, the perspective front, and then the perspective back. But I think we have some images here that give you a better understanding of the contextual nature of the solution, which I think would be the next slide. And this clearly gives you the illustration of how the house would fit on the site. When the images were taken for the top left, the house immediately to the left was under renovation. And the house on the right was recently purchased and is currently under renovation. And I believe the initial image that you presented, Madam Chair, showed a more current version of the style of work that was being done on the house to the right. What this image also provides is an illustration of how the garage door will front Tillman. We do have glass panels along the right side of the garage door, and we do have a small porch that also expresses the consistent architectural vernacular along Tillman. So we feel that the house fits comfortably in terms of height, scale, and proportion and character on Tillman Avenue. The lower right image gives you a much better understanding of how the approach to the home would be. We intend on using pavers instead of a poured concrete driveway, gives it a more residential feel. And that's, uh-oh.
Okay, thank you. I will go to Adam Davenport.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So a couple things that we see from the HGRS perspective when we reviewed this house over the summer, as opposed to a couple other cases recently. This lot does have the depth that some of these other lots do not have. I think the lot is about 133 feet. And although we do generally like the house's design, it's meeting the character of the neighborhood. With the gable roof, the front porch, we feel that the front loaded garage itself is out of context with the neighborhood. Referred to the lot width before by the architect, it is 28 feet wide, but the driveway could be on the property line, and then the other setback would be 3 feet, allowing for a 16-foot house, which we've seen through HGRS quite a few times in Ohio City and Fremont. And this would be, although rare for Detroit Shoreway for such a skinny house, it is dimensionally possible, as we've seen through our committee before. So this is more of us holding true to our zoning code updates in 2018, and think that this is not a hardship, and that the applicant can meet the purpose and intent of the code, given the characteristics of the district surrounding it. Thank you.
So Adam, so from city planning's perspective, you are not in support of these variances, is that correct?
We are not in support of the front loaded garage variance. No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, board, I'll open it up to questions or comments.
I do have a question and comment. There is a precedent in the neighborhood.
Mike, hold on a second. I was opening it up to my board, but I'll go ahead. I'll go ahead and let you say what you need to say though. So go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
No, go ahead, Mike. Whatever you got to say.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just do want to point out that there is precedent on the street. There is another home on the street that was built within the last, let's say, 6 years that does have a front loading garage.
That's not correct.
It is correct. I'm sorry. There is one on 57th. That is at the end
57th is not Tillman. There are no front-loaded garages on this block on Tillman Avenue. 57th is a completely different street. There are no precedent for front-loaded garages on Tillman Avenue, period.
It is visible from Tillman.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll open it up to the board now.
Madam Chair, this is Member Brown, and my question is to the owner, but maybe Mr. Augustinus can answer it. But is this home being built for the owner to live in, for the owner to sell, or for the owner to rent?
It's for the owner to sell.
Thank you.
Any other questions, board?
Madam Chair, I had the same reaction to the plans as City Planner Davenport did. This is we very rarely have exceptions for front loading garages. And as City Planner Rulins noted, there are no other front loading garages on Tillman. We have a deeper lot in this situation. Usually when we do exceptions, they're small lots that are very restrictive. So I have issue with the fact that the plans reflect a front loading garage. And particularly since the home is being built for resale purposes. So we appreciate your honesty in that regard, but I have to move that we do not approve these variances.
Okay, we have a motion. Can I have a second, please?
Second, Ms. Barnes.
Second, Ms. Barnes. Go ahead and call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Bape?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
221-172 is denied. This decision will be ratified next week, and we will send the appellant a letter.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to Dove Ave.
Yes. Moving on to calendar number 21-098 at 13001 Dove Avenue. This case was postponed from October 25th, 2021. This is the appellant Paul Snowball. We all remember his name. Owner proposes to construct a 7-space parking lot in a B1 two-family residential district in a C1 local retail business district. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record, of which there are 2. And with that, to Ms. Brown.
So I'm swearing in all who. Maurice?
Sorry. Having some technical difficulties. There we go.
Okay, I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hands and reply, I do. State your name and your address.
I do. Paul Snowball, 3635 Lattimore Road, Shaker Heights, Ohio.
I do. Amanda Kramer, 9250 Miles Park Avenue.
Anyone else?
I do. Marka Fields, Chief City Planner.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. History of the property, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Give me one moment. I thought we had it, but let me go with this. Originally, it was zoned general retail and two-family. In 2011, the general retail portion was changed to local retail. I think the most important information here that we found in the records is that in 2017, a permit was issued to demolish a 1.5-story frame dwelling unit. And that's all that I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Legal standard, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant is requesting area variances from the off-street parking and fence requirements of the zoning code, as well as permission to construct a parking lot in a residential district. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and the granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. Subsection 34913C provides that the board may permit temporarily or permanently the use of land in a residential district for a parking lot when the best interest of the community will be served, and provided that the lot is to be used only for the parking of passenger automobiles of employees, customers, or guests of the person or firm controlling and operating the lot, who shall be responsible for its maintenance. No charges to be made for parking on the lot. The lot is not to be used for sales, repair work, or servicing of any kind. Entrance to and exit from the lot are to be located so as to do the least harm to the residence district. No advertising signs or material are to be located on the lot. All parking is to be kept back of the setback building line by barrier unless specifically authorized otherwise by the board. The parking lot and portion of the driveway back of the building line are to be adequately screened from the street and from adjoining properties in a residence district by a hedge, sightly fence, or wall not less than 4 feet 6 inches high and not more than 5 feet high, located back of the setback building line. All lighting is to be arranged so that there is no glare that is annoying to the occupants of adjoining property in a residence district, and the surface of the parking lot is to be smoothly graded, hard surfaced, and adequately drained. The building permit number under which the lot is to be established is to be posted, and the board may impose such other and further conditions as it may deem necessary to reduce the adverse effects of the proximity of a parking lot on the character, development, and maintenance of the residential district in which the parking lot is to be located.
Everybody got all that? Okay. All right, Mr. Snowball, go ahead.
Hello, good morning, everyone. I presented to the board before, and in that presentation, as stated, there was, my plan was to develop the lot located at 13001 Dove Avenue into additional parking spaces and a combined green space and yard extension. In presenting to this committee in the earlier date, I was recommended to go to planning to review the plans because there were quite a lot of variations being requested. So I did that and worked with planning, and in so doing, excuse me, revised the plan substantially such that now the plan involves converting, for the most part, the space in question, 13001 Dove, into mostly a green space, and then to attain the additional parking by adding to the existing parking spaces on 3900-02 East 131st, which is the adjoining lot, which I currently own, and which you see depicted there to the right in that sketch. So that's the essence of the plan. I can walk through some of the existing conditions and then, go over some of the details of the proposed site development. So the current condition, and if you go to a previous slide, I think it will show it. Yeah, you see some of the pictures there. I don't know if the previous slide will also show some of that. So that's a frontage, a photograph of the existing site, which consists basically now of a vacant lot. And on the left to the rear of the lot, you see that there's a neighboring fence and there's a tree that's leaning over there in the back and some additional foliage. There is a wooden fence on the north end of the lot that is 6 feet tall. And then on the right of the lot, you see a lot of shrubbery that's on that lot that has grown and has not been cut per se by the city so far. And I'll address that in a minute. So you can see in this overview that the lot is highlighted in blue there, and then my property is to the right front of the picture. And you can see there are some cars parked there. There are three across, and then there's one that's double parked. I want to highlight the front of the lot. You see a green area to the left and a little green area to the right, close to the building. And at the north perimeter of the lot there, you see that there is fencing existing. And that's a 6-foot fence that connects the vacant lot to my property, or at least it stretches across that boundary and just passes the existing building on 3900-02 a bit and connects to the house, which is the neighboring house. I also want to highlight there are 2 garages that are up against the eastern perimeter of 13001. And they are 2 consecutive property garages. And that's a shared driveway over there. So you don't see a separation so much between those garages or the properties. So, you know, but those are 2 combined properties up against the lot, and mine makes the 3rd. Again, to the left there, you see that there are some, the westerly property, and I'll come back to that. So what I initially proposed was to put 7 parking spaces on the lot itself. And in going to review, they made recommendations because of space limitations, safety issues, and so on, that basically said, if I put most of the parking spaces on my existing lot, that would be a better use of the spaces and was more acceptable. So what you then see is my proposed plan to do that. In the plan, you can see that there are 6 parking spaces on my existing lots, which would add 3 to what was there before. In this drawing, you can see that the parking spaces are opposite each other and face the building and the vacant lot respectively. Each parking space is 18 feet long, 10 feet wide. There are bumper stops proposed for each parking space, and the distance between the 2 sets of parking spaces is 26 feet. The entrance to the lot, which is existing, is 19 feet to access those spaces left and right. You also see there in your picture on the left, landscaping strip, and to the right as well, landscaping strip. There is existing fencing on my property at that south end of my 3900-02 property. And the planning committee, Southeast Planning Committee suggested, or not suggested, but required that that chain link fence be replaced with a ornamental fencing that comply with city ordinances. So, you know, that would be one implementation that would be added to my plan. On the lot itself to the left, you can see there that, and it's somewhat small, that I would also be adding a wood privacy fence 6 feet tall on the westerly property line that adjoins the neighbor's property. And at the front there, you see that there's about 20 feet of landscaping strip in addition to a ornamental fencing. And then across the front of that lot, there's 40 feet approximately of ornamental fencing in addition to landscaping strip. To the rear left, again, where the trees were in the existing condition, I'm trying to have the city to remove that tree because it's in bad situation. It's leaning over on the neighbor's property, and the neighbor is concerned that it's going to fall on the property. So I'm trying to get the city to clean that lot up before I take position, not only with regard to those trees, but also the shrubbery on the right or easterly end perimeter of the property, which goes along the entire length from the north to the south. One of the other propositions or a thing that the design committee suggested was that I explore replacing that front landscaping strip with planting that with street trees because they're more hardy and would also add to the look in the front there. So I will also be doing that. The last piece that I'll mention before opening it up for question is that to consolidate the land, we would remove a part of the fencing that currently exists on the easterly side of the lot. Again, that extend from the north perimeter to the south perimeter, again on the east side. It's covered up with the shrubbery that you see there, but there is a chain link fence there, yes. So I'd remove about 40 feet, excuse me, of that fencing, which would span the opening, well, the depth of my current lot at 3,900, which is roughly 40 by 153. And that backhand that is up against that lot, it's about 40 feet deep, I guess, if you're going into the lot. And again, we'd add appropriate landscaping elements to fulfill that. There is lighting in front of the lot from city lighting, and there's also lighting coming from my existing building and from the neighboring building. And with that, I will stop to hear your comments and questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Snowball. We have Marka Fields with her hand up, so go ahead, Marka.
Yeah, I was just wanting to comment that the parking that he's doing actually not on the lot in question. It's actually all now contained on his current lot. So he really variance. My recommendation, there's nothing happening on the vacant lot that that he was initially trying to do the parking on.
Mm-hmm.
So all the parking is on his existing property that he has just presented to us.
Yes.
And so are you saying he doesn't need these variances now, Marka?
No, because it's just green space now. There's no need to get a variance for green space.
Okay. All right. Well,
Madam Chair.
This consolidation.
Madam Chair, there is.
Submit to building and housing for the new plan, but it's not on the lot. The lot that you're looking at, land bank lot, which is nothing being built.
Ms. Kukla, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, sorry, I can't hear Ms. Fields, but I did have one comment that there's a variance for drainage as well, and I don't see it on the plan here.
Yeah.
So they may still need a variance from that.
May I speak?
Sure.
Yeah, the variance for that drainage was initially when we were going to pave that area for the 7-car parking spaces, but currently there would be no parking on there, so there's no need for that drainage runoff. Again, we could.
So we just want to clear this up here. So the initial variance that you submitted for was for the vacant lot, which now you just have green space. And you're moved the parking that you were going to have on that lot, you have moved on your existing property. And So the initial vacant lot is now all green space, so paving and draining is not necessary for green space. So the suggestion of Ms. Fields is that you don't need these variances anymore, and you probably should withdraw. So Ms. Kukla, are you in agreement with that?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would just like clarification from Mr. Riccardi as well.
Yes.
Yeah, that answers the question about the paving and drainage. It seems as though they're not going to be updating that residential parcel, that purely zoned, or sorry, the split zoned residential parcel. But if we could defer to Mr. Riccardi about the question about withdrawal of the variances.
I agree that he should withdraw this. It's no longer the same lot, so the hearing today regarding those issues, is moot. So I would concur.
All right, thank you, Mr. Riccardi. All right, Mr. Snowball, so just for the record, just ask us to withdraw your case.
Okay, for the record, I request that you withdraw the case.
All right, without objection, board?
Without objection, Madam Chair.
Objection.
All righty, you all withdrawn, Mr. Snowball. Thanks for hanging out with us today. but
sorry for the long wait.
yeah. All right, and thank you, Ms. Fields, for bringing that up. We wouldn't even caught that. So thank you. All right, moving on to the next case.
Moving on to, here we go. Looks like our last case for today, I think. This was postponed from September 27, 2021. This would be calendar number 21-130 at 10404 Harvard Avenue. Grasster Girls LLC owner proposes to establish use as a residential facility for 5 occupants. The owner appeals for relief from the strict application of the Cleveland Codified Ordinances as stated in the agenda and the public record. Of note, the second postponement on this case was made at the request of the appellant to allow time to meet with the community. The first postponement was made at the request of the board to allow time for the appellant to meet with the councilwoman, councilman, and Marka Fields. To you, Ms. Brown, for the oath.
Okay, I'm swearing in all who are present for this case. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the whole truth and nothing but the truth? Please raise your hand and state I do. Provide your name and your address.
I do. This is Tanisha Grasster Thomas. My address is 9850 Royal Palm Boulevard, Coral Springs, Florida 33065.
I do. Amanda Kramer, 9250 Miles Park Avenue.
I do. Marka Fields, Chief City Planner.
I do. I do. Angela Merriweather, 10402 Harvard Avenue.
I do. Nikia Okoye, 38 Little River Road, Laurel, Maryland, 20724.
Okay, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Did we get history last time, Ms. Kukla, or do we need to?
Yes, we did the history last time.
Okay, so we don't need history of the property. Legal standard, please.
Yes, before I start, I'd like to question the applicant. Are there going to be 5 or fewer people in this facility?
No, they're going to be eight residents total.
Okay, all right, then that affects the legal standard. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. Appellant may be is requesting a use variance and is requesting area variances from the distance and off-street parking requirements of the zoning code. To obtain the use variance, appellant must prove that denying the request will result in an unnecessary hardship particular to the property, such that there will be no economically feasible use of the property without the variance, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variance will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. To obtain the area variances, appellant must prove that denying the request will create a practical difficulty not generally shared by other land or buildings in the same district, will deprive the appellant of substantial property rights, and that granting the variances will not be contrary to the purpose and intent of the zoning code. And the reason I ask this is because the beginning of this write-up says that this is a facility for 5 occupants, which would be allowed in a 2-family district, but 8 residents is not, so that's why the use variance comes into play.
Okay, thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Lori. Okay, Ms. Thomas, are you the spokesperson for this case?
Mr. Okoye is.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Mr. Okoye.
Hello. I don't know if you guys can see me. I'm having a problem with my video here.
Okay, we can hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Chair and the board, for hearing our statements on this matter. We've purchased the corner lot property at 104 Harvard Avenue for the purpose of continuing one of the goals of our dad, who worked in assisted living his entire life, working with mental health patients, working with individuals who had special needs. And so one of his, he worked in that field for more than 20 years before he passed. And so one of the things we wanted to do with acquiring this building was just to kind of continue the work that he did in this community. We all have were born and raised in this community. We have also acquired and what we plan to do is provide mental health services, other support services for the residents of the building. We have acquired the adjacent land through the side yard program in order to provide a green space, a gardening program for the residents of the building as well. So we had, I think, initially said that 5 residents would be occupying the property, but it's a 4-unit building. Each unit has 2 bedrooms in the unit, with the possibility to serve 2 patients or 2 residents per unit, for a total of 8 for the building, and also have office space and space for programs that we have planned for the residents and support services. We have garnered support from Councilman Bishop. He had asked that we do some basic improvements to the front of the building, which was paint the chip paint around the windows. We also were asked to pave a parking lot, which we've done, and also asked to garner community support, which we've done with, I believe, maybe 50 or so signatures from community residents. So yeah, I don't know if any of my sisters have anything to add, but we've also had the support of Ms. Martha Fields, who we met with over the past year about this project.
Okay, anyone else from the project team or family who wants to speak?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, thank you. I will go to Ms. Kramer. Are you from the CDC, correct?
My name is Angela. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Ms. Kramer?
Yes, I'm from the CDC.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. Amanda Kramer, Union Miles. So we had spoken with Nakia. I spoke with her with Marka about some of her plans for this project. And one of my questions was for the variance, if she could obtain that parcel next to it for parking, but I understand the need
Hello?
for the green space improvement. So if that takes precedent, I understand. And then I was also curious to see if they had spoken to the resident or the property owner that's directly south of them. I think the address is 4067 East 104th. I heard them say they got a bunch of signatures. But it looks like that property would be pretty directly affected. So I was just interested to hear about that.
Thank you, Ms. Kramer. Mr. Collier, did you all speak to this neighbor directly next door to you?
Yes, I believe my sister Angela spoke with the neighbor directly in the rear who advised us that that the building used to be used for this type of service before.
And so they don't have objection to you?
They didn't express any objection. They expressed support.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Thank you.
Mary
Ms. Merriweather, did you want to chime in on that?
hello?
Yes. Angela?
I think she's having connection problems.
She's having some connection problems. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on to Marka.
She definitely did speak with her. I'm sorry, this is Tanisha. She told me about the conversation. She definitely spoke with the lady behind her. She was definitely in support of it. She gave us a little history of the different things that the building has been used for in the past. Okay, and she's actually just been happy that we've been there. We've been active, been working, and excuse me.
I think she's still having technical. So go ahead, Tanisha.
Yeah. So if this is the lady that I think we're talking about, she lives in, I believe it's a Cleveland Housing Network home that's right behind it, and she was in support of it.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'll move to Marka now.
Sorry, I was just going to add to Amanda's question.
Who is this?
Oh, this is Nakia Okoye speaking.
Okay, you have to announce who you are first before you jump in.
Sorry.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
Yes, this is Nakia Okoye speaking. To Amanda's question, yes, we did acquire the lot adjacent to the building, and yes, we have already made the improvements that the councilman had requested us to do.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, now, yes, we'll finally go to Marka Fields.
Marka, Chief City Planner. Wanted
And
to
Marka,
express our
kind of speak up a little bit because your mic is real low.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah, just wanted to express my support for city planning support for this project. I've been talking with Nakia for over and she has done pretty much everything that was requested. She did receive land bank lot next to offer green space for the residents. And I know has a larger project that she plans to expand on in the future in that area. And so it's also in close proximity to a bus line, which I think is necessary for that particular population. So we are in support. We have no objections to the plan.
Great, thank you, Marka. All right, board, we have support from the councilman, the CDC, as well as city planning. So unless you have any further questions, I will entertain a motion.
This is Member Brown. I do have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
And I appreciate the follow through on the applicant and the meeting with the community. And my only question has to do with, did you provide an operations plan? And if you can inform me of on-site supervision, plans for on-site supervision and the hours of that at the home.
We submitted a business plan to the city. And in terms of operations, the building, Angie, can you speak to the operation?
Yes, I'm here. I'm so sorry. I apologize to the board.
My name is Angela Merriweather, and I'm with Supportive Services for the state of Ohio. Yes, there will be a 24-hour monitoring system there. They will have peer support services as well as supportive services with their mental health and SUV issues. So whatever services that's rendered in the building. So everything will be a one-stop shop. So everything will be shipped out. So there will be uh, no time that no supervision or monitoring will not be available.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And also, I did go door to door. I went on 106th, 104th, and 108th. And they really supported me. The only thing they were saying was like, this used to be a building for sexual offenders. I don't understand why they won't let y'all open it up. And so, and the lady behind me, she's been there for over 15 years. And she was saying, of course, that would really be nice. They liked it. The people on the street liked it the way we've upgraded the building. They like that we've put the back together, and so it looks like a brand new building. And so a lot of people was in support of that. We're keeping the scrubbage together. We're mowing, so everything around the shrubbery is nice and neat. And so the other property owners and the other businesses on that street, they really appreciated it. So in other words, they were really welcoming us.
All right, thank you, Ms. Merriweather. And your other applicants did support what you were saying here, so we have all that
Oh,
information.
oh, okay. I had something was going on my computer. I couldn't hear anything, so now I'm
Yeah,
on my phone.
I know, no problem, but they had your
Okay.
back. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, Member Brown, does that satisfy your question?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. If no other further questions, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I'm just curious to know, and I believe probably Marka Fields can probably answer this question. On the front portion of this lot, is that one wide curb cut across the front of the lot? And are we okay with the paving from the apron to the building?
So that actually is not something that we saw. I was under the impression the parking was in the back. I don't think it's up front. It's just a paved area.
Okay. Are we looking to have that return to green space, or what?
There was not a request for it to return to green space, although probably look a little bit better if it were. But we did not make that request.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I don't know if that's a curb cut in the front. It might just be a low curb as a result of constant repaving projects.
Yeah,
so it does look like a curb cut, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me. It doesn't look like a curb cut.
I would wonder if the applicant would be willing to return that paved area to green space with walkway, if the parking's going to be in the back.
There is walkway already there, ma'am. So the front of the building has walkway, and there is initially off-street parking, because this is the first thing that we ran into when I first submitted the paperwork. So the lady had who introduced me to the way of going about this, introduced me to in the wrong manner. So she was saying that actually we did not need parking back there because there was on-street, off-street parking. So there's also off-street parking along with the parking lot that we have. So in the front, that's all concrete, and it is an area for people who walk past or whatnot. So all that is concrete. And so the green area is right beside the building, which is the lot that we purchased. So that would be where the gardening will be at.
Right. My question is your intent to use that paved area at the front of the building for parking, or do you have adequate parking in the back?
Yes, ma'am. We have adequate parking in the back, and we also have off-street parking.
Okay. So my question is then, would you be willing to remove that concrete in the front, except for necessary walkway, and return that to grass and landscaping?
It
So
was
that the
never,
appearance,
it was never grass and landscaping there, ma'am. It was never that. It was never that. It's always been concrete right there. And
and, but my question is, are you willing to return it to grass so that you don't have a paved front? It would aid in the appearance to the building.
and I understand that. Is that something that we would have to do? Because that's expensive.
Well, I'm asking you to be willing to do it.
Oh, okay. Yes, ma'am. I can. We can see how that looks. You
Hello, this is Nikia Okoye speaking. We could definitely take a look at that so that it could provide a seamless flow on the front space. We can definitely look into that, and we'll be willing to return it to green space for a better look.
That would be excellent. We're not going to make it a condition of the approval, but that is something that we always look to have happen when we're making changes to buildings and use changes like this. We like to aid in the streets, the street view of the building. So we would appreciate it if you would do what you can to return it to a green area.
Absolutely.
Thank you. That is something we will entertain as we develop the lot next to it for our green.
Great, right. That would be. I think that would give you a more cohesive look as you move forward in your land development there. Madam Chair, with that, that answers, I think, all of our questions from the board. We have support from city planning, and it seems we have support from residents and the councilperson. I don't think we have a letter from the councilperson, do we, Ms. Kukla?
No, I don't have one in the file.
Okay, we have testimony that he was in support. So with that, I move that we go ahead and approve 21-130, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please?
Member Brown, I second.
All right, Ms. Brown, second. Call the roll, please, Ms. Kukla.
Ms. Barnes?
Yes.
Ms. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Vaith?
Yes.
Ms. Britt?
Yes.
Calendar 21-130 is granted. It'll be ratified next week, and we will send you a letter.
All right, thank you. Good luck, ladies.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Good luck
Thank
to
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Great project.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Looking forward to see how it comes along.
We are
Thank you
so much grateful, very grateful.
All right, old business,
Old
3, 4,
business.
and 5 without objection.
Without objection.
Thank you. And that concludes the meeting for today.
We got it. Thank the Lord.
And considering we had 7 cases, I think we motored through that pretty well.
And
Yeah,
one
Sherwin
was a
Williams.
huge case.
Yeah, Sherwin
Yes.
Williams was a minute. So, yep.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Have a good week.
All right.
Thank you, everyone. Great job
Thank
today,
you.
everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Maurice. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everyone. I'm sniffly today, so.